Hey everybody, welcome. I'm back. How was your week? Hopefully good. Mine was really good to the point where I broke my promise and I did not think about you at all. Kind of what a vacation is supposed to be like, actually. But in this case, that was kind of part of the point. Is I was going to have some time off to kind of really think about this. So I'll be honest. I'm going to be completely straightforward. All of this is just what I cobbled together on the drive to and from work today. Yeah, I had a great time, and I did have a mixed bag because I'm wearing a wrist brace at the moment. So what happened is that I really the only use that my wrist gets most of the time is just repetitive motion from typing, and I did a lot of kayaking, and so that already hurt it because that was a bunch of strenuous activity in full rotation when it's not used to much of that at all. And then also, once I get back home, I help my buddy Tim paint, and yet some more repetitive motion that really didn't do so good for it. So, yep, I'm in a wrist brace right now. And that is one of the things that got me thinking about which direction I kind of want to take this. I still want to do animals, I still want to do dogs, but I realized that rather than have the Monday podcast just be kind of a narcissistic masturbation session, that it should have more of a purpose than just kind of like a video diary. And I realized that, well, you know, it's my birthday this month, and I mean, this is just flat out embarrassing. I'm injuring myself with typing and like activities that I've done for ages. So I'm gonna be on the later side of the 30s, and it's really time to start taking care of myself like I always mean to and never actually get around to doing. So I think part of the way that you can do something like that is accountability. So what I figured I should do is start trying to chart some of my progress in making myself healthier. And this is a great way to have quite a few episodes in the can because I'm basically starting at zero. I drink too much. I smoke too much. I do zero exercise besides taking the dog for a walk. And what I would normally, do during an activity like, for instance, kayaking, like that technically is exercise, but that's just a byproduct of me wanting to kayak. And so that is not something that's done on a regular basis. And when you don't do something like that on a regular basis, that happens. So this is actually going to be a great way to do it. And what I thought of is that one of the first steps in doing that is um, tracking the amount. So what I mean by that is, I smoke roughly a pack a day. Not proud of it. I'm just putting facts out. I drink about the equivalent of a few bottles of wine. Most nights. Not proud of that, but that's just a fact. And I do, like I said, zero uh, exercise because I'm not including what would happen during a normal regular day. So now this is a great place to be because now it can only go up from here. And it's already eye opening. So, for instance, I do smoke about a pack a day. Well, now that I decided to start counting them, I just got back from work and I'm already up to 12. And that means that I smoke the bulk of it in the beginning part of the day, which is interesting because I did at one point when I was starting to really cut down, I managed to only smoke once I got home from work because usually once I get home from work, I do have a drink, and drinking and smoking go hand in hand, as anybody that drinks and smokes knows. So I would have the bulk of my smoking, in the latter half of the day, but I was able to not smoke at all in the morning. And now that I'm charting it, it's like, how am I up to a pack a day? Oh, well, that's how is I'm doing a lot of that during the first part of it. And, one of the reasons why I want to do that is, and a lot of this, by the way, just I feel like I should mention is kind of stemming from a conversation I had with Josh. Shout out Josh Ledger, Sand Dune Customs. When he was over, he had me, he had us rather do, push-ups anytime that I wanted to go out to have a butt. It was a fun thing to do, and I actually did try it today, but I really shouldn't be aggravating that any further until it's good and healed up. And I didn't have my push-up bars, so it was like all wrists, So, and I am working on being able to have it be somewhat comfortable being able to do it just on fists. But anyway, So, I would like to start, doing regular exercise, but also having that be one of the consequences of smoking, which should help, cut it down. But mostly just being paying attention to the number. Like that was an eye opener. It's something that, 12. I mean, it's what? So that means I only have 8 during the nighttime. I thought that I actually smoked, the majority of it during the nighttime. So that's actually not the case. And that's great because, I can just, cut down one here, cut down one there. And with the drinking, same thing. I usually get the boxes of wine. So that holds four regular sized, bottles. So when you finished one that you have drank the equivalent of four, but you're also sharing it with your SO. You're, you know, that's over the course of a few days, so it's a little bit harder. So I'm going to start tracking the glasses, which, by the way, I have already had one because what I usually like to do when I get home is decompress, especially if I'm about to do a video with a glass of wine. Helps loosen me up, makes me a little bit more chatty, and that's something where, okay, well, I had one. Well, the next one that I have, I better log that one in and then see where I'm at by the time the evening's done. And that should be a good way to do it. And so, yeah, for the exercises, I'm not sure. I never really got into a big workout regime. So I'm not sure the best ones to do, especially because a lot of it's going to have to be body weight since I don't really have much equipment. But, those are the plans that are in the works. And also to make this unique to me and the dog and the animal videos, yeah, I'll try and make them more researched and all that stuff. But those are pretty much fine as they are, in a way. There's always gonna be room for improvement. So that's what I was thinking is that like maybe just the overall theme is just going to be, don't wait for things to get better, make them better. So maybe even rename the podcast "Make Better" or something. I don't know. I'm playing around with it, but that's definitely something that I want to do. And I mentioned it before, but maybe even like start having like regular segments. And one thing that I have dabbled in, but I'm really disappointed in, that I kind of fell out of, is comedy. And actually, that's when I first started the podcast. I thought it was going to be a funny one because I thought it was naturally funny, but instead, that's not how it goes with me. There's different types, of you know joke makers out there, and so some of them, can improv really well. Some of them, need a lot of, form and structure and writing it down. I'm definitely of the latter. And so one thing is maybe start talking about jokes that I'm workshopping on here. Maybe not put the official one out, so that way it's, I don't know if you know much about how comedy works, but it's basically like, once it's out on the format, so once you do a talk show, once you do a special, and put it out there, then that joke's done. You can't redo that joke when you go out on stage again because they've heard it before. It's the exact opposite of a musician. Whereas, when a musician, once you have people know you for certain songs, they actually get pissed if they hear the new stuff. They came for the old stuff. Put the new stuff out in an album, and then let us decide if we like it or not, and then add it to your repertoire. Is basically how it works for musicians. And with comedians, it's the exact opposite. It's got to be fresh, fresh, fresh. So for a lot of them, they actually enjoyed putting out a special on a regular basis because then that makes them go back to the drawing board. It keeps it fresh and keeps it exciting. And I think that if I start putting in my embarrassing opening premises to the world, it's going to be embarrassing pretty quick and going to get me to start actually writing more and writing better. And so this is one that's been kicking around for a while, and I'm just going to, basically just give you the premise. So the joke goes roughly, can anybody please explain to me what happens to the string of the loofah when I get soap in my eyes? And you know exactly what I'm talking about. You've gone over it about 10 times, and you just cannot seem to find the thing to hang it up so that you can actually get your face fully clean so that you can actually see again. And I think it has a lot of potential because I think it has a lot of relatability, but it's still just a premise and act out and not really honed and polished. So hopefully at some point I can show the update on that. So that's kind of where I'm thinking about going. So I am gonna pare it down to um, maybe alternating or just whichever I happen to feel like doing any given week is still do one of these and then one of the dog or pet videos, and that way it'll just be a nice two video. I can kind of concentrate more on each one, and I do, intend on looking into getting video editing. See, here I thought that I was going to be like coming back, being like, check this out, cutscene, 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 and that's not at all how it went down. But I'm not. I am bummed because I do like now to try and keep my promises to myself. That's something that I never used to do. Pretty much all through my 20s, I never kept a single New Year's resolution or promise that I ever made to myself. But I would like to start doing that now, and so I did, say that I was gonna to you and to myself that I was gonna set aside some time to look into doing that. So I do still plan on looking into video editing and everything. But for right now, it's just a premise. I'm working on it. I at least have progress and a goal in mind and kind of a game plan, and I'm going to go from there. So it'll be fun for us, I guess, to see where it goes, how it progresses, and all that fun stuff. So, uh, yeah, radio silence has been broken. I'm on the other side of the moon, and I definitely think that I'm not where I want to be, but I do love having the mindset where, okay, it's not just going to automatically, organically happen. I'm going to have to work at it. Anything worth doing is worth working at, and besides a few rare exceptions, literally no one in the history of ever started and was immediately perfect at it, and that's just something you got to keep in mind if you're trying to start any endeavor. Uh, Anybody that's overweight is going to look at me and just be like, screw you talking about weight loss. But it's something that I think isn't talked about enough. That like, say if you were fat and then you get skinny, when it's an obvious change, like when you go from 400 to 200, it's very clear and dramatic and obvious, and people praise you, and then all of a sudden they just stop, um, because they're just like, all right, well, they lost the weight, good for you, wow. But what they don't realize is that for them, it's going to be a lifelong battle. You can always relapse, especially when it comes to eating. Uh, there's all sorts of types of addictions, but for every other addiction besides eating that I can think of, anyway, you can just keep away from said thing. So you're addicted to heroin. If you can stay away from heroin, then you're good. If you're addicted to gambling, if you keep yourself from placing bets, then you're good. But if you're addicted to eating, you still have to eat. It's something that you're still gonna have to do in order to survive. So you need to have that be a multiple times a day struggle. And I, was starting to get a Dunlap, and me and my girl went on a, uh, you know, not really diet, but so much as a elimination diet slash you know lifestyle change, I guess you could say, although I hate that phrase sometimes. But it's one where, ever since then, I've just been very conscious about what my weight is, and I try and keep around a certain level. And during the vacation, I did gain 5 pounds, and 5 pounds, at least for me, I hate to, I don't want to get anybody upset, but it's just a physical thing that it's very much easier for a guy to lose weight than it is for a girl. Girls Female's body is going to try and keep as many nutrients as possible in case it needs to feed a baby and stuff. And with guys, oh, I gained 5 pounds, well, I'll just eat light for the next couple of days, and boom, they're gone. And that's not often the case with females. So with me, I'm already pretty skinny, and 5 pounds isn't much, so I'm not trying to compare pain with anybody that is struggling with their weight. I just know that that's also one of the things that I'm going to be, keeping an eye on, because I did good, and I actually got down to what was pretty much my high school weight. But when I did that, it was at the same time as the pandemic, and I wasn't, working at the pet store throwing around 50-pound bags of dog food all the time. So I lost a lot in the arms, and I realized that high school weight isn't the ideal weight for me. It would actually be more. So I want to start gaining weight now, but I want to make sure that it's in muscle. And I know that there's some ways that you can do that, like for instance, taping yourself, just checking the measurements of stuff as you go along. So as long as the belly's not getting bigger, but the arms are, then you know that it's muscle weight that you're putting on, and other little things like that. Because looking at the number itself is actually, not the best way to go about it. It's more how healthy you feel, um, you know, looks, I guess, if that's something that you're concerned with, but even more so, it's yeah, like I said, like I don't have much strength, and now it's starting to have its consequences. So that's where I'm at, and I hope that this is going to be a good new direction, and that I stick with it, and I'm honest with you and myself when it comes to the numbers, because I'm sure that there are going to be, you know, some days where you get home after a crappy day at work, and next thing you know, you're passed out on the couch, and or on the floor, or depending on how badly you drank, and that's something that's just gonna have to be dealt with when it comes to it. And I'll try and be as brutally honest with you as much as I can, and yeah, I think that that's a pretty good way to go. And honestly, I think the biggest thing is that I want to just promise to myself that yeah, I'll try something. If it doesn't go in the direction that I want it to, okay, I can abandon it and try something else. But just that I'm always going to try to improve. I want to make sure that the episode that I just did is not quite as good as the episode I'm doing now, because I improved a little thing here, a little thing there. And hopefully that's going to spill into all aspects of my life. And pretty soon, over the years, you'll see me grow into a healthy person that doesn't hurt their wrist doing a normal everyday activity, and, isn't as much of a smoker and drinker and stuff. So that's where we're at. And maybe in doing so, this will be, I doubt it, but, maybe an inspiration. And somebody else who's going through it, where I feel like a lot of people want to use the excuse of having to hit rock bottom first before deciding to do something about it. Yeah, I've started to wheeze a little bit in my sleep, and I try to excuse it away as maybe allergies, but let's be honest, it's because what I'm doing in my lungs. And I sprained my wrists. I'm not laid up in a hospital with a cast on my arm and a diagnosis of lung cancer, so I don't uh, want to hit bottom. I want to do it before hitting bottom and show that it can be done. And hopefully I do prove that point, because it does seem like that's what a lot of people wait for. And they're just, again, back to the new theme, they're waiting for life to turn around instead of making it turn around. So yeah, I guess this is Make Better, and I still appreciate you. And I hope, I hope that, yeah, I should have just ended it there. That is totally from Shawshank Redemption. I hope, and there you go. It's a damn good movie, damn good message, and a damn good way to end it.